Oh, yes. We are live. The Chaps Chat Cats are part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Jake. I'm joined in the virtual studio by Sambo and Johnny. How are we, fellas?
Pretty good.
Ugh.
Very, very, very well. I do love how your camera looks great, Jake, until we hit go live.
Yeah.
And then it drops to approximately 720p. And by 720, I mean 7 pixels across, 20 pixels high.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. Really appreciate that the internet is like that, and I'm in the middle of like a thunderstorm as well. So who honestly, who fucking knows how far into the show we will get? That's part of the adrenaline of the extreme sport of watching the Chaps Chat Cats. You don't know how long the stream will go for. You can say I was here for all 7.5 minutes of it. Tonight on the show, we are obviously discussing the heroic comeback by the Cats to deny the Dastardly Dockers. The Dockers, I mean, it's a pretty amusing name, really. Benny says, what do you got to say, Benny? Benny says, Banana Fish and Chip Shop has awesome Wi-Fi, apparently. Ben's obviously doing some, I mean, he's just soft doxed me here. I think most people know live in the northeast region, so that's not too bad.
I think we may have
the fish and chip shop, yeah, but the problem is the problem is, Benny says, is that the Banana Fish and Chip Shop closes at 8 p.m. Yep. So unless I can break in to their establishment to use it for the pod, it would be of no use to me.
Also, big city privilege showing through again. The mere insinuation that any shop around here would let us use the Wi-Fi is a proof you're not a local. All right.
Yes.
They guard that shit like bullion.
Take a shotgun to the face.
Take a dim sim to the face trying to get into the
yes. Anyway, yeah. So we're
shop.
That's right. Dim sim hand grenade lobbed straight into my larynx.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Yes. Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, yeah, yes, John. Mark, 56. U6P. Hi, Mark. Is in the chat. So is Jackie. So is Benny. Sound off if you're in the chat. So we're going to get into the recap, chaps. That's what is on the show tonight. There's plenty to discuss. Before we get into the show proper, I've got to say a couple of thank yous. The first of which is to our Hoops Crew Patreon subscribers. Massive bunch of fucking legends of the Hoops Crew Patreon, 31 strong and growing. Massive thanks to them for their support of the entire Hoops Crew Media Network. And remember, if you want to jump on there, you can start a 7-day free trial. The first VFL show goes up this week. Sambo and myself will be previewing all of the players we think are going to feature heavily in the VFL this year, the youngsters, the fringe veterans, etc. We will be looking at how we're going to grade out success for those guys in 2026. That is mostly exclusively for Patreon. So we thank them for their support of the show. And the other people we've got to say a massive, big thank you to is our show sponsor. That is Cyril Cook, florist. So you can visit them at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. You can phone them up 035 222 2244, or you can visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. So we thank Cyril Cook Florist massively for sponsoring the show once again. Let's jump in, chaps. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this. Let's go. Oh. Allow
Was
me
that
to
Paddy or Thelma? MacGyver.
Come on, jump.
All right. On Saturday afternoon, we drove 3 hours to watch Geelong take on Fremantle in the Holy Land. We made the pilgrimage by foot across the Barwon, remarkably clean smelling. Usually get a lovely waft of sewage from the Barwon. Didn't get that. We posited the theory that maybe it's because normally we go to night games, hot air rises, cold at night, gas from the river, etc. And we watched as our beloved Cats were torn open in a first quarter that saw them ship 7+ goals to an opponent for the third time in 5 quarters to start the season. No tackles were harmed in the making of that first quarter. There was barely a tackle laid by Geelong. There was no structure to be seen. The Cats were all at sea against a Fremantle barge that was armed to the teeth with cannons, napalm, and a lust for quick transitional football. The crowd was restless, another term like the first, and they would have been verging on vindictive. There was a sense in the air that Geelong's heads were not in the state required to play, and therefore their bodies too lacked the requisite application to produce the plan. We watched as friends in the crowd nearly came to blows. There were beers thrown into faces. Down on the ground, Chris Scott delivered a spray of his own and one that his team seemingly responded to. Max Holmes began quarter 2 with his hair on fire, and soon Sean Manor. Remember, you cannot spell Sean Manor without triple A. He goaled not once, not twice, but thrice in the opening 9 minutes of the second term. Freo responded with a triple strike of their own, but it was the Cats who notched the half's final 2 majors, both from the boots of Jeremy Cameron, to go in at the halftime break, just 22 points adrift. I was purchasing hot jam donuts when the crowd's roar foretold of an early third quarter goal to Jack Henry. That was cancelled out by a quick-fire response to Hayden Young, but the Cats split the uprights 3 more times in a row. Neil, crashing on the door to slash the margin to less than a kick. Freo found a pair of answers once more via Dudley and Brayshaw to push the gap back out, but the Cats would not be denied as Patrick Dangerfield slotted his first of the day just before the final change of ends. 86 to the Cats, 96 to Freo. Sambo had said in the second quarter, "We are winning this game." He was to be proved right. Half an hour to do the work, and do the work they did. Freo's battle barge suddenly transformed into a punctured inflatable raft as Geelong's rabid band of raiders put their knives between their teeth and scrambled onto the deck in wave after wave of relentless, merciless pressure. Bailey Smith, Jack Martin, and Shannon Neil all goaled, and this time there would be no response from Fremantle. The Cats led, and they did not fall behind again. And in fact, if it had not been for their own inaccuracy in the game's final stanza, the Cats would have won this match by 4, 5, perhaps even 6 goals. These are the games that define Geelong since 2007, the games that they have every reason to lose due to poor starts or injury or other circumstance, and yet time and time again, they will themselves to dig deeper into their reserves of resilience, talent, and skill, accessing their truest power in the moments where their fate seems to be turning. They refuse to let disappointment and mediocrity become a habit. Through 5 quarters to open the season, they sputtered, but once they found the shift in their gears, they proved far too good for Fremantle. A truly remarkable win, and one built on an extremely repeatable base. Pressure, pressure, pressure until the opponent breaks. Onwards we go. Sambo, take us away with your thoughts, and then to you, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, you've recapped it very well. You've taken me right back there, all the way to 2 days ago. So thanks for that journey down memory lane. It was fantastic. I think we both agree this is probably the best win we've gone to see live in recent memory. We've seen some big wins, some big floggings, and some close wins as well. But there's just something truly sort of vindicating about this one. The fact that, we came off the back of a really bad one last week. It would have been pretty easy to go, you know what? Let's not, in the current climate, let's not spend $110 on a tank of fuel to go to go down the highway and risk a really depressing drive home.
Speaking of pirates,
you tell you what. So there was a bit of extra something in there just from our level too to go, you know what, let's go and support regardless of last week. Let's put our money where our mouth is. We said it, it's only a pattern once it's a pattern. And then obviously it was starting to look a little like a pattern during the first quarter and patches of the second even. But, we mostly, I think it was really good to go and see it live, I suppose, to look at it. And I'm not sure how different it was to last week, to opening round versus it just looking different because we were live, and it just felt like the issues were laid a little bit more bare being there at the ground versus watching on the broadcast last week. Like the lack of pressure, the sort of effort to a certain degree, and then dropping off the man. People easily, it's much easier to judge distance live too when you're not on the broadcast. And there's times when the ball or a player was so easily in arm's reach, and this goes, it's across the board too. I'm not just talking about players that, I was having a crack at, like even my favorite players, Tommy Atkins, a couple of times in the first quarter, there was goals directly after he didn't lay a tackle where you went, that's a very Tom Atkins tackle to lay there. Like that's well within his wheelhouse to put in that extra little afterburner and wrap the arms around that player. So I felt like, part of me felt like maybe things were looking a little worse than last week, particularly in the back line. I don't know if I can 100% make a call on that until if I was to rewatch both these games, like rewatch last week and then rewatch this one, compare them to see what they actually look like. But it felt a little worse. But I think it was really beneficial to see it live and be able to go, okay, if we do this is the big thing. You said to me in the first quarter, Jake, you're like, is this pressure or is this structural? And I felt like opening round was structural. I felt like this one was pressure. Whether I'm wrong or not about last week, as I said, I'm not sure. But we sort of said, if we can just crank up that pressure a little bit, like, because we were making them look really good too. like Dockers. I mean, the Dockers are good. I'm not saying they're a shit team and they were only on top of us because of what we were doing, but the lack of pressure just allowed them to choose plan A in every scenario, move to the plan A position, kick the best kick to plan A spot, take plan A mark. Do you know what I mean? It never felt like the Dockers were having to reel and rethink on their feet and try different avenues. It was just like everything they wanted to do, we allowed them to do. So obviously that was somewhat worrying, but obviously they turned some things around. We weren't as aware live of what was going on at quarter time, the discussions that were being had. But obviously things had started to change. And it was awesome. It was just so good to see the Cats do what they do, to feel the crowd. It was probably the craziest I felt the Cardinia Park faithful live at any point. And I think it was 3/4 time. I think it was on the 3/4 time siren that I turned to you and I said, we're going to we are going to win this game. And it just at that point, it just felt beyond destiny. And that's, purely down to the work rate that they put in. And it was the complete opposite of that first quarter. The Dockers couldn't buy a plan A. Everything they did, they had to try something else. It was always, even when they scraped an attempt in at goal, it was always on like a third or fourth attempt. It was like, the ball had bounced out. There was a tackle. There was a ball up. Let's try and move it around. There was no easy avenues anywhere. There's no easy ball to get for the Dockers, and that was so rewarding to watch. And it was absolutely exhilarating to see the Cats turn around and put on a performance like that. As you said, a little bit of inaccuracy and a really bad first quarter. Probably it almost undersells, I think, how good that performance was, particularly the third and fourth quarters.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I had to work, but
you're well missed, John. You're well missed. I said to Jake, the only blemish on this moment.
It's one of those rare occasions where two of us there, and I'm also watching live. I only watched from the second quarter onwards, but I had the same feeling as you, Sam. It was like, we got this at 3/4 time. It was like, it doesn't feel like we're losing this one. It feels like we're winning it. I listened to the first quarter on the radio on the way home. And after the first quarter, I sent you guys a message going, "What the fuck was that shit?" And I think Chris Scott also said that to the players at quarter time and just absolutely gave it to him. And I think it's, as Max Holmes said, he's never seen Chris Scott that angry. And I'm pretty sure he said he's never been that scared of Chris Scott in his entire career. And I think it was one of those occasions that deserved a bit of a spray. And when it comes from a coach that rarely does it, I think it has that a lot more impact. It's like, yeah, we really did stuff this quarter up. That was on us. That was on not on the structure. That was not on the way we usually play. It wasn't on the coaches. It's on directly on the players. And it sounded like that on the radio as well. It was just Fremantle, 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 goal, goal, goal. They could do no wrong. Cats could do no right. And then, lo and behold, the Cats came out and responded in the correct way, the right way, the Cats way of just locking down, being professional, knowing their roles, doing their jobs, and putting that pressure back on Fremantle. And once Fremantle had that pressure, they looked second rate, really. Like they were turning it over, they were making really stupid decisions, giving away 50-meter penalties. You could just tell they did not know how to handle this Cats team when the pressure was on them. And it could be because of opening round, but you still don't lose a lead that big because the other team played the other week and got smashed. Like we got smashed last week. That doesn't have an effect on this game. It just means your team's not capable of handling the pressure like the Cats are. It was an exciting game to watch, seeing the Cats come back that way, will themselves back. And I think the best part was Dangerfield only played 55% game time. He had like 4 touches and a goal. It's usually these games, these moments where we look to a Dangerfield, we look to Selwood, or we would look to a Jeremy Cameron or Tom Stewart to stand up. But it was Shawnee Manor, it was Brian Miles, it was Max Holmes, it was Tommy Atkins, it was Shannon Neil, it was Mitch Edwards, it was all these the young brigade, and some of the older guys also stepped up. But the great thing was there was no let's chuck Dangerfield in that midfield to really save us here. It's like we had the trust in Max Holmes, Bailey Smith, Tanner Bruhn to win us this game, and they did. And then Shannon Neil backed them up. And I think the best part about Shannon Neil's game was how angry he looked. It was probably the angriest I've ever seen him look, and the more focused I've ever seen him look. And it felt like this was that game, that breakout game that we've been waiting for. And it was just, yes, he's here. He's here. He's arrived. The man has arrived. And I just also want to make one more statement about the Stonks. It's time now to absolutely buy up on Jai Clark. I said hold. But I think the last, he's just looking really good. He's looking sharp. He's looking confident. He's looking happy. I feel like he's let go of that pressure that we as fans, media, play to Cats people himself have put on him. And I feel like he's just gone, you know what, I'm going to play my own way. And that way he's going hard at the ball, kicking goals. And I feel like he's done that both weeks so far in opening round and this game. And he's looking so much better. He looks confident. He looks happy. He looks like he belongs on an AFL field now. And unlike the last few years where it looks like he's unsure of his position, it actually looks like he's sure of his position, of his part in this team. And I thought that was really fantastic. It's good to see Jai Clark seizing these opportunities and flourishing. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I just see Big Stick Combat has just popped a question in the chat about Mitch Edwards. We'll get to that shortly, Big Stick. But if anyone else has anything they want us to talk about specifically, drop it in the comments and I will star it to have a look. Yeah, down the line in the show. isn't it funny, chaps, how simple something can be in reality? Like, I feel like in 2026, there's a lot made of how complex football is, and it's a tactical game, and it's all these things. And like, at the end of the day, it really did seem like as simple as saying, "Hey lads, have you thought about tackling?" Like, have you
Have you
know
thought
what I
about
mean? Like,
laying
it really
some pressure?
Sam and I were saying, like, it was almost bizarre. There were times where it was just like there was a Geelong player running within arm's distance, just like keeping stride with the player and not going in and attacking them. And it was like a no contact training drill almost at times. Um, it did seem like a pretty simple change in the end to me, chaps, to turn it around. Like, I don't know. Did you think it was any more complicated than that, apart from just like, hey, let's attack the ball, and the flow on effect came from there?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to imagine there was specifics. You know, with the amount that Chris Scott, when you look back at that, and I personally, like, we'd heard the word go around about Chris Scott's spray and all that kind of stuff. Having watched the footage back, I don't know that if it was any other coach, I don't think you'd call it a spray. It probably only counts as a spray because it's Chris Scott, who never says fucking anything. He was pretty measured still. Like, he was animated, but I was getting ready for footage of him like red in the face, roaring, you know, like couple of inches from Buckley's face because everyone's like, Buckley copped the most of it. I don't know, just looked like a conversation in a loud environment where you have to talk loudly so people can fucking hear. But anyway, beyond that, like, you would have to assume there was specifics. But that being said, without being a fly on the wall to know exactly what those specifics were, I think overall it was just pressure. I suspect there was some structural stuff defensively, and I mean specifically in the back line, not just structurally, defensively, as in our off ball stuff, that's the sort of more general stuff all over the ground. Our pressure, our defensive pressure increased. But I do think, and that's where Buckley comes into it, I do think there was some focusing up of how we were structuring up in the back line, because we kind of went from never being in the right spot, them just getting all these free marks, us not even being able to lay a spoil, to them sort of really having to probe and try and figure out ways into our 50. And once they got in there, they really had to fight to keep it in there. I'm not sure exactly, like, as I said, I don't know specifically, but my guess is that there was general overall pressure is the main thing. But there was just a little bit of tightening up, I think, of the back line, the way they were all moving and helping each other, covering each other's player. Like, there was I just feel like there was a lot more. They were a lot more switched on in the back 50 after that.
Yeah, I think Scott getting angry and just reminding them that, hey, we're a professional football club. You're here to represent this club, and you're not representing this club the way it should be represented, and you're not tackling, you're not pressuring, you just let them do what they want. I think, yeah, it's pretty much simple as Sam said. There's still that structure stuff, but also it's just like just doing the small things of pressuring someone, pressuring that ball carrier, pressuring that player going for the mark. It's, at the end of the day, it's as people say, it's not a difficult game. You just got to grab the ball, kick it forward, kick a goal. It's not going to be rocket science or anything like that. It's just about how can you make the other team make those mistakes. And, you know, Fremantle got us in a really bad spot where we were making, well, we weren't really making mistakes because we weren't getting the ball, but they were just doing whatever they felt like they wanted to do. And it really felt like we were still in that pre-season mode. But tell you what, once that, as I said, that professionalism came in and they realised they were letting down the stadium here, our fans, the coaches, ourselves, our teammates, you just saw that switch, and it was basically instant from that second quarter onwards. You could just tell there was that big difference of, we know how to play football. It was sort of like Chris Scott said, you guys, you know how to play football. You're all really good footballers. Go out there and show it. And I feel like they realised that and went out and did it and just put that pressure. As you said, Jake, sometimes it's just as simple as pressure that player. He might make a mistake, and that mistake can turn into a goal scoring opportunity. And a lot of times that's exactly what happened. And then also using the structure better, using your brain better, picking a better option when you're handballing or kicking, not kicking to a 1-on-2 or not lightly half kicking it to a player, like deliberately kicking it to someone. That all just sort of comes back to them as the game goes on, and you could really tell it really did. So yeah, I think main thing was pressure, bring that pressure back, and things will sort itself out, and then we can work on the structure. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Jackie just makes this point too here. Regarding the back line, we had too many players drawn to the ball contest in quarter one. There were a couple of really bad examples of it in the first quarter. I tend to agree with that. We're generally pretty big defenders of the back line in terms of saying like, hey, yes, we shipped a big score here, but to be fair, the pressure up the ground was pretty shithouse, and left the back line exposed. There were times that you and I said, Sambo, at the ground that it was directly on some of the backline positioning and decision making, and there was just way too much open space given. And you said that at the time, Sambo, about the pressure factor. Like, it's not just literally about raising the amount of tackles you lay, and it's like, oh, it's good. We laid 70 tackles, so therefore we played well. It's like, we laid, 60 goals, 70 tackles, and the flow-on effect of that was the opposition, had attacks and chains of possession shut down that would otherwise have flourished. They were, maybe turn the ball over either directly from holding the ball or maybe from a bad kick or a bad handball. Suddenly, they're not able to just run across the ground and execute their skills at will. Like, it's everything that flows on from defensive pressure. And you could tell in that second half, like, the crowd fed on that. Like you mentioned it, Sambo, it's as loud as we've heard the Kardinia Park crowd since we've been going to the Joel Selwood stand. And it really felt like one of those times where the crowd helped get the Cats up and about and then drove them onwards. And like, it was just a feedback loop between players and crowd. And by the last quarter, it was like Fremantle. If you put first quarter v last quarter up against each other, it was that exact example that you said, Johnny, where you said it was like Freo could do no wrong and Geelong could do no right. By the last quarter, it had flipped. Geelong could do no wrong. Fremantle could do no right. Everything that every seed that Geelong sort of planted flourished, and everything that Freo tried to do withered and died. So it's a pretty amazing turnaround. Oh, well, yeah, if you want the behinds and that sort of thing, if you want to talk about the inaccuracy in front of goal. But, like, ultimately, we had a lot of control of that final term. I felt,
as Sam mentioned in his opening comments, it's like, if you could feel it at the ground that they were going to win that game, I definitely felt it at home. You could just, it felt like I was somewhat live there as well, because you just feel that shift as the Cats fans started really getting back into this game, going, oh yeah, we've got this win. Let's start acting like fans should, and getting rowdy, getting loud, getting obnoxious, like Ryan Myers, like Tommy Atkins and Tanner Bruhn, just getting in the face of those Dockers. It was great to see, great to hear. As mentioned in the Discord, it's like, this crowd needs to bloody wake up after that first quarter. So we need to get some energy in there. And so you people live there didn't disappoint. You definitely brought that energy, and it helps. It really does help. It lifts the players up, definitely, when you see some of the biggest ones actually was when Shannon Neil was taking some of those grabs. Like the roar from the crowd when Shannon Neil was on was something special. It would have been spine tingling at the ground.
Yeah,
Sambo,
it was.
Talk about Shannon Neil flooring. Oh, sorry, you go.
It was spine tingling, and it was like, because it wasn't. There was conflict in that Neil crowd relationship. Like, it wasn't smooth sailing from the opening of the game all the way through, and that's what made it kind of more rewarding, I felt. And And even for me and Jake, like I'm a big Neil supporter. I still said at the start of the year to buy stonks in Neil because I feel like this is going to be the year, and he's at the moment slightly undervalued. And like you said, John, he was angry, and it was kind of like the first half, even into the second quarter. The anger was like it was a negative. It was a bit sooky. It was like sooky anger. Do you know what I mean? Like he's having to go at his teammates, go and kick it up higher. And like I said to Jake at one point, Neil was having to go at someone saying like, kick it over my head. And I leaned over to Jake and I said, he was standing on the goal line. If they kick it over your head, like it's going through the goals of the behind. Like
Mark
you're not
O'Connor.
gonna yes. Yeah.
And commentators said it's like they're like, I really like the Shannon Neil's aggression and
like the intensity
where he wants it. It's like that's really good. It said, but there's no point telling to a player that's 70 meters away.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like there's not much else they can do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it happened a couple of times, and it's, Jake and I were discussing it through the game and during the breaks as well, and we were kind of going, he's like, and actually our mate Jack put it perfectly today when he was, because we were talking about it, and he summed up our thoughts. He was like, so basically Shannon Neil wants to play markers up. And and it's like he's used to being 2 foot taller than the other kids in the playground, and he thinks just like drop it on the top of the pack and I'll just pluck it out. And he's now against elite footballers with elite footballing minds that even if they're not as tall as him, they're going to try and, use every trick in the book to stop him from just grabbing an easy mark over the top. And so Jake was like, just lead it up. Like he's like, he is one of the tallest players. He's also going to be one of the strongest players. He's like such a big lad and he's fast. Like he's not Tom Hawkins. Do you know what I mean? He's got that athletic ability. So lead up, and suddenly it started to shift his, like, I don't know if it was intentional, like if in a positive way from him, or he was going, well, this is where they're going to kick it to me. I'm going to have to start doing this. And he just started leading it up, being a bit more proactive with his runs and his leads. And yeah, as I said, that relationship, there was like this kind of like, there was a bit of friction between us and him early in the game. And then it just became this big love fest by the end of it, where he was starting to believe in himself. He was using that anger in a more positive way. It wasn't, as I said, it wasn't like that sooky sort of woe is me kind of anger. It was a much more angry at the game and like this big let out. And so, yeah, there was especially the, like the goal on the goal line where he just managed to get his foot to it. Things absolutely erupted when he did that. That was crazy. And there was so many goals for both teams, in fact, but I think a couple more for Geelong that were either overturned or just looked like goals and then turned out not to be when the decision like came down. And so there was this such epic frustration from the audience, from the crowd watching, because there was so many times where we were like doing these half celebrations where we'd all go nuts and then have to like put a lid on it because we realized, oh no, the umpire's only given them the one finger gun. And so I think there's this want for goals as well. So there was this real, like, I don't know, it's just this real sort of push and pull with the crowd of feeling a little bit robbed in a lot of ways. And so it was just slowly, everything felt like it was just paying back a little bit of karma. It was like, okay, here's this one to make up for that bit, and here's this to make up for that thing that happened before. And the whole game felt like it was just sort of making up for last week. So yeah, it did feel like one of those times when you go, probably couldn't have written this any better. If you were given the script, you probably couldn't write it. So yeah, no, it was pretty special. But Neil is, I don't know if he's, I think he's still got more in him for this year. I think he's obviously got more in him for his career. But even this year, I think this, like you said, he's here. But I think he's got some bigger bags than that. Personally, yeah. I think if he can put in performances like that from 4 quarters. Yeah, I think our tip for him to maybe take home the leading goal scorer for the Cats is it's not too far off at the moment.
I did mention in the Discord after that game, it's like what you said just before about needing that. It's like that was a win that the players needed and us as fans needed. We needed that win after last week. And it was the way that we won as well. It was like just resetting that, oh yeah, we're a bloody good team. we can win when we are down by 30 plus points, when the opposition has just dominated us in one quarter. We can still win a game. And it just felt like, that was a good payback. That first 5 quarters of our season, absolutely horrendous. We'll start paying off in the next 3, and then the next game we'll continue to pay it off as we stuffed up the first 5 quarters of the season, but this is how we played. This is how we remember we played, and they really, really did, I feel like, heal a lot of wounds for some Cat supporters. Like, we don't have many deep wounds, but the Cats know how to heal them pretty quick and pretty rapidly.
Yeah, I was just trying to do Flash movie trivia here. Says Tommy Hawkins was 23 by the time he got his game together, and Scratcher is now 23. So expect the penny to drop very soon, which could be scary. I agree. I think that it's variation that's required, and it's the nuance that guys learn as they go on. Like, it's actually fine to want the ball kicked over your head at times, but it's like the 2-card trick. If they know that all you want to do is run behind them and get the ball kicked over your head, that's really easy to defend against. What is hard to defend against is, I've got to track back with him because he's fast and he's big, but then he's just hooked back past me into the space. Then that's the second part of the trick. You have to have both so that the defender doesn't know like what to do, basically. And I think the thing is, like, he showed in that mark you talked about, Sam, where he came from like a long way back. There was a ball that was put out in front of a pack of players, and Neil had to come from outside of that pack, from behind them, and he literally got there at the latest possible second, got his hands out in front and marked it. And that's essentially impossible to defend against. That's the equivalent of, like, in cricket, where you deliver that perfect fastball on the exact uncertain length for the batsman that pitches just away from the outside of their bat, and it either takes the edge or goes through to the keeper clean. Like, they literally just cannot do anything about it. That's what happens when forwards and their the midfielders who deliver the ball to them are on the same page. It's almost an impossible task. And you saw that in the first quarter with Fremantle. Like, Fremantle were delivering the ball to Leeds extremely well, and Geelong are packed full of great key defenders, but they couldn't do anything about it because there is a system by which you can almost hack the game. And once the Cats and Neil get that together, I was just trying to do the math of he played 25 games last year. He kicked 5 goals in his first 7 games. So by my math off that, in his next 18, he kicked 39 goals in his next 18 games, which means he has now kicked 45 goals in his last 20 matches, which is pretty amazing. And before either of you make another point, Morris has just tuned in and says, "Sorry, I'm late, guys. Survivor was on." And Benny says, "Survivor versus the Chaps." I mean, like, I can't say I'm not a little hurt here. Like, we sort of got voted off the island here, at least to start, Anyway,
Yeah.
I suppose I'll get over it. Anyone else got any thoughts about
about Neil or other stuff?
About Neil, the other things.
Anything you want.
Tanner Bruhn,
take it where you
love
want.
This game. I'm loving Tanner Bruhn. He's looking like he hasn't missed a year through trying circumstances. But he's
one more love heart, please, Morris. Just one more.
Yeah. But yeah, Tanner Bruhn, he's just looking mean, fired up, focused, looking like he's out there to prove a point. And it looks like he's that player that a lot of us thought he could become pretty soon. And I wasn't expecting this. It was like, he's had a year off, a pretty horrendous year.
Now I'm feeling the love. It's back. All is forgiven.
Yeah, pretty horrendous year for Tanner Bruhn last year. So for him to come out and play the way he is this year is pretty exceptional. Like, it takes a certain type of player to go through what he did and then come back this year, play 2 games at his level is kudos to him. Really proud of him. Really glad he's playing the way he is because it's what we need him here to do, and I'm glad he's delivering it exceptionally well. He almost gave away 50 as well in this game, which I thought was probably there. It was very lucky, and then he got really angry at the umpire. But if that's the aggression he's going in with, keep it coming. Just make sure you tone it down when you're talking to the umpires.
Oh, I think that the biggest disappointment, like Tanner Bruhn was absolutely fucking robbed. That was our loudest celebration of the day. Was his?
That's one I didn't see. What happened?
You paint the picture, Sam.
of how he was robbed. I mean, it was just a great snap. It was on his right, I think, wasn't it? Trying to remember which side of the ground we were sitting on now. Yeah, it must have been his right coming in and snapped it. And it was like the cleanest kind of kick for goal you're going to see, like textbook. And just, I guess, the player it was, the scenario and the game, it was still when the game was pretty antsy. And then, yeah, it was epic celebration. Everyone went off. He went off. And then it got they went all the way back to the center square and everything. And then it got recalled because there was a score review and they had to sit there and watch him say it was touched. And honestly, it may well have been touched. Like we probably didn't get all the angles live at the ground, but the angle we showed it from, we kind of went, I don't know. It's gutsy to call that conclusive. Like it's meant to be conclusive. And to me, the angle showed that there was certainly potential that it had been touched. But sour grapes. I think it was just because there was so much aggression from us about it because it was such a good goal and such a good moment and such a huge celebration. So yeah, I guess if anybody was watching the broadcast, they might have a better angle on whether it was touched or not. But live at the ground, it felt like he was absolutely robbed. But we try not to go into the. I guess that's not even an umpire call, though, is it? I was going to say we're not complaining about the umpires. It's not the umpires. It's whatever the hell that is. I guess it's the umpiring department, isn't it?
It's the ARC
department.
Sam.
Yeah, Arc of the Covenant.
Yeah, well, my face was melting when they opened it. Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6307, not to be confused with Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6306, says the ball was touched. Be that as it may, so was the Fremantle one later on. My issue is not so much.
Where's your bias?
Yeah, exactly.
My issue is, I don't really know that this makes the game better as a viewer, in my opinion, because what we had was 2 goals overturned, because a fingernail scratched the football. Is it technically the right call? Yes, I suppose that's where we're getting. But where does it end? This is my issue with all this stuff. You get deeper and deeper and deeper into the weeds of was it touched? Did his foot move? Did this happen? Did that happen? And what really pisses me off is that we have a scratch of a fingernail on a ball or the flick of a fingertip. Name of your mum's autobiography. And then on the fucking wing in the second half, Jack Henry gets both hands to a ball. It ricochets offhand into Zach Tracy's mitts and they call it a mark. In for a penny, in for a fucking pound, guys. Are we going to overturn every call or just the ones up forward? It really fucking pisses me off because it's we're living in different worlds here. And I'm sorry I'm on a roll, but this shits me. It's like VAR in the soccer. It's how far in the move do you want to pull it back? Do you want to go back half an hour and see a ball that should have been paid as a free kick that in the fucking thousands of ways in which the game could have folded out from there would have negated a goal? For me, you got to choose one or the other. And I just think that I think it's Pandora's box. All the VAR, video review stuff, because then there's obvious shit around the ground. They're like, well, we can't overturn that. And it's why not? It was clearly not a mark to Tracy. Blind Freddie could have told you from the fucking nosebleeds that it wasn't a mark to Zach Tracy. It really drives me up the wall. There you go. I'm off my soapbox. Pissed me off.
Also, how the Fremantle player juggled the ball over the boundary line.
Yeah.
Like, how is that?
Where does it end? Where do you want?
Yeah.
Where's the jurisdiction of the
Exactly.
video replay? Because there's stuff that happens all the time. I don't know.
Maybe we
I
should
think
just,
they.
maybe,
I think.
maybe
I reckon they
should
should do it how they used to do it in the tennis. Do you remember? I don't think they do it anymore because I think the VAR's
Eagle eye.
overtaken in the tennis. Well, when they used to be able to have a certain amount of challenges,
Yeah.
and you could choose them. And so if you used up all your challenges where you thought it was the wrong call, you used them all up in the first set, and then there's an awful call in the last minute of the fifth set. Too bad, son. I don't like. Add a bit of gamesmanship to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just. I think it would be kind of cool if, like, each team, whether it's the coaching staff or the player themselves, who, like, you get to challenge. Like, if you know you've touched it, because it would stop players from going, oh yeah, I touched it, and then trying to fake. If you know you've touched it, you're going to call for it because you don't want to waste one of your challenges if you didn't touch it.
Yeah, exactly. Have it be the captain, because there's a few hot-headed captains that would challenge every single bloody call they could.
They'd learn pretty quick.
Yeah, I just find it really frustrating. I just think it as a fan, it definitely ruins your enjoyment of the moment in the game. It's almost NFL like, where it's like, oh, amazing, like 40-yard throw, it's a touchdown, and everyone celebrates. It's like, oh, wait a minute, there's a flag on the play. We're coming back because one of the guards was spotted holding, like, the defensive tackle, and it's like they're all holding on every play. Like, and as a fan, you just want to lose yourself in the moment. And that's what happened to us on the weekend. So we got lost in 3 or 4 goal celebrations, only to be pulled back of like, oh, actually, the Neil one, the advantage that they didn't play when Neil was chopped, the ball came loose, Dempsey kicks the goal, and then they take it back to Shannon Neil. It's like, I honestly don't understand this rule anymore. Do you get to choose whether you take the advantage or not? Anyway, it pisses me
on
off.
the broadcast. They said apparently can't take advantage from a mark, but if you go on and kick a goal after,
well, it wasn't a mark.
Apparently it was a mark. That's what the broadcasters believed.
So it was not paid a free kick; it was
so-
paid a mark.
It was paid a mark, but even so, if it's paid a mark,
So
and we
I was
kick
going
a
to say,
goal,
I
that
still
should be
disagree
a
with that
goal.
decision. Yeah,
Even if it was a goal, if mark or a
it's a
free
great
kick,
question, Gary.
It should have just been Ollie Dempsey's goal. Like, why are we going? Oh, let's bring it back.
How many did Ollie Dempsey lose due to, like, just technicalities? Was it 3? Or was it just 2?
At least 2.
It was at least 2. And even Freo lost some too. And it's not like, I guess there's sour grapes, from us going, no, it doesn't, ruins the game, ruins the vibe of the game. The ones that you get back, like, because Freo got, one overturned or whatever, it doesn't feel like good either. Like, that's not the way you want them not to score goals. You're not like,
no,
you don't feel good about, oh, we're hanging in here because of the fucking VAR. Like, you're still kind of pissed off. You're like, well, we shouldn't have let that one through. We shouldn't have let that even become a potential. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. It feels a little bit like this thing that's extra. And like you said, until it can be perfect on 100% of the ground.
And much quicker.
Yeah, and much quicker. It doesn't really, I don't really know that it should be this all powerful. I guess I mean, we've harped on this one too much. Do you know if the one that was touched, so Bruhn's goal, do you know if that was, no, was it, I am right in thinking that was Bruhn's, wasn't it? It wasn't the Dempsey one that got touched. It was the Bruhn one, right? And then.
Yeah, the Bruhn one got touched.
Yeah.
Dempsey just hit the post, but we didn't.
That's right.
See that
it just nicked the post. So with the Bruhn one that got touched, did the umpires call for the review, or was that one of those ones where Big Brother was like, meet me in the lounge room? There was a potential touch ball.
Big Brother.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Shut up,
but
Paul
I think
James.
I think.
What's Paul James?
Paul was saying that Bruhn was touched. the Bruhn ball was touched.
You're missing the
Where's your
vibe of the thing. We
price?
said even if it was touched, it's the vibe of the thing.
Yeah.
It's
It's
Marbo.
the feel.
Yeah.
It's just the vibe. It's just the vibe. What the
Well,
fuck
well,
is
well,
won't with this?
What I was trying to say was, I think I understand more when the umpire says, "I'm not sure. Can we confer?" I find it a little bit more. It feels, especially on the ground, it feels weirder when it's sent down from on high, and even the umpire's like, "Oh, what? Oh, okay. Sorry, no, it was touched." Like I kind of prefer. I don't mind it as much when the deliberation happens between the umpires and they say, "Okay, we need a review." Because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I was aware, that's not what happened in that scenario. And I understand that's what happens now. They're supposedly rewatching everything and overturning everything. But like you say, Jake, why only those ones? Why not the marks on the wing? Because it would slow the game down. You're right. Well, it still slows the game down when it's on the goal line.
This is my point. You know, when people say, "Oh, well, until we get it perfect," you will never get it fucking perfect. You will never get it fucking perfect.
So get rid of it.
You've got to decide: was the game not perfect as a spectacle before we brought this shit in? And Saints fans will be like, "Oh, but that ball in the grand final in 2009 skimmed the post." It's like, yeah, shit happens all the time. Most of the time to St Kilda fans, but like there are games that all of us can point to as fans of football clubs and go, you know what, we got jibbed there. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Like, it happens. And I just tend to think like the more fucking reviews we put into sport, the shitter they become.
To be fair, that goal that Tom Hawkins kicked that hit the post, that skimmed the post in the grand final, that happened to us against St Kilda early in the season, just remember. They also kicked a goal that.
Oh, Johnny with the deep cuts.
So that was just payback. Sure, ours happened in a bigger stage and a more important game, but hey, it's payback.
This is why you don't worry about VAR, because karma has our backs. Karma makes it all.
Exactly.
It's completely flawless system.
You see, Tanner Bruhn's
is that long enough? 20 minutes on Tanner Bruhn's goal.
Yeah, it is.
So what the footy gods decided
I think we're going to...
You Fremantle, you're going to lose by 10 points.
And my thing here is, if both of those goals weren't overturned, then it would have been 116 to 106. And if the AFL wants more scoring, then they should have let both goals stand. Exactly. I think that we should probably move on. Sometimes you just get on a rant, and that one has been shitting me for a while. As I said, because of the ridiculousness of saying we're going to review all of these plays. It's like, well, yeah, what about all the other fucking plays? Anyway. Here we go. 1 second. We got a request here. Rach Danderfield. Hey, says, I left the stream and came back. We are still not talking about Jack Henry. And it actually says, I left the stream and came back, and we are still not snot. We're not talking snot Jack Henry. What is this? I think Jack Henry, what do we think, boys? Like, he played magnificently, right? Jack Henry, yet again.
Does. He usually does.
Just like
the gold standard down back, Jack Henry.
First quarter would have been absolutely disgusted in himself, and he proved why he is one of our most important players in this team. Yet again,
I will say for
a really important goal.
I will say for Rachel's benefit here that she'll be very proud when Jack Henry got absolutely knocked about. Our boy Jake was just about ready to jump the boundary and drag the umpire back in for a feeding frenzy in the audience. Some words were said. Some Fremantle fans might have moved away from us a little further.
And it was one of these.
I went into the game saying I was going to be really calm. I was going to be calm. I was going to be good spirited.
But then they went after Jack Henry,
mate. Oh my God! Fuck off! Get your hands off Jack Henry.
I tell you what, when I was listening to that first quarter, part of me was going, oh, "I'm glad I didn't make the 3-hour trip for this shit show." And then at the end of the game, I was like, "Why the fuck did I not make Well, I'm so pissed I didn't make the 3-hour trip for that amazing game. To lose my mind, lose my voice there.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
well.
we were off trial. I honestly was not sure if I was going to have a voice to record the podcast today, but it came back over the course of yesterday. We were feral, Sambo. We're not ashamed to admit it, but that's what should happen. No one and KO's got to get their crowd shit figured out, by the way, because we watched the recap and it's like they've got the crowd turned down or their microphones are positioned in the wrong place. The standing room was going off tits. And that's where they need to capture the sound from because it was off chops and it really didn't come through on the broadcast. So shame on you, KO, for not
I will say
exhibiting sort of vitriol that was coming through from the standing room.
Jake, me and you have also got to make an amendment where you did a who's A-listers on the Cats list, and I'm sure to Dander's absolute anger, vitriol, and utter disgust, we completely forgot to add Jack Henry to the A-listers group. So I think we've got to say Jack Henry is most definitely an A-lister for the Cats. I couldn't believe we missed him. He's definitely underrated.
Well,
but yeah, he's A-list material.
I think
I was going to say, it depends on how we're defining the A, because the way I wasn't there for it and the way Jake resold me on that concept was players that, I think it was two things, wasn't it? It was a player that can win a game, basically can have a 10-minute stretch that wins you the game, and also a player that can basically walk into another club. Like they're kind of like they're not only skilled, but they're also recognized and a name. And I actually think that's probably the part that would knock Jack Henry, like not knock him, but like why just in that particular category, the way you guys were defining it. I like you said, you just hit the nail on the head. He's still underrated. I don't know if he could walk into other clubs. I think the first part he actually has. I think he can, and he has had 5-minute stretches where he's like
Richmond, 2000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dominates in the back line and then moves up and goes on a roam and like even his little patch in the game on the weekend. He was doing tremendous stuff down back and then roamed up a couple of times and his influences really fell up there too. So I actually think quality wise and ability wise, he's an A grader undoubtedly, in my opinion. But I don't know if other clubs would just take him on the way some of our other players, like if Jeremy Cameron was walked over to another club and was like, I want to play for you, they're going to make room. Whereas, I feel like Jack Henry is still well underrated for his ability.
He is, but
he's an A grade footballer. I'm not sure if I don't know if he's an A grade name yet.
He's definitely not an A grade name, but to us, he's an A grade player.
For sure. Yeah. I think like you said, the first quarter, the back line was not covering themselves in glory, but I wouldn't say he was the worst offender either. In the back line. Like I don't think he was the one dragging them down, but pretty much from the second quarter onwards, they all had pretty great games. If anything, I'd probably say Zach Guthrie maybe had the quietest game of our back line, and I feel like he's got enough credits in the bank he doesn't need to be the best back there every week.
I was going to say it was one of those rare games by Zach Guthrie where you could really tell that it just seemed like he was affected by that first quarter where he just couldn't do much right, and then maybe the Chris Scott outburst or bit harsher words than usual maybe played on him a bit more than other players. Him still being a bit younger, maybe he was just like, oh shit, I really stuffed up here and didn't know how to rev himself back up. Because it was one of those games where I looked at him like he's just not him. He doesn't seem himself, like his usual confident self. It looks like he's guessing everything he's doing, which is not like him. And I don't think he'll be like that the next game. I think the next game we'll see Zach Guthrie back to his absolute best, because I think that's the type of
All right.
environment that Cats have to get around the players and pick them back up and go, you're all good. You had one bad game, get it back on the horse, you'll be right.
There's way too many bloody angles to chop this game up. So before we go on, we're going to do till about 9:30. Before we do that, though, let's do our votes for players who stood out to us and did other stuff good too, and shit the bed the least. Sambo continues to craft this title. I think it's a bit of a living, breathing work of art. This award,
like
Sambo.
Do you think we can remove the amendment this week? The shit the bed the least, I think, was specifically for the players last week. I think we
feel like
just
this
go
one
back
also.
to players.
Right, 1 minute.
I feel like this shit the bed the least also applies to that first quarter and this game, actually.
Right, 1 minute.
Well, we would leave shit the bed the least if we were just doing votes for the first quarter, but we're
That's all right. We can change it. The award is now officially called Players Who Stood Out to Us and Did Other Stuff Good Too and Shit the Bed the Least in the First Quarter. All right. So it's going to be hard to get that one engraved on a medal.
Just
big
John,
medal,
really
small words.
Let's lead off and give us your 1, 2s, and 3s in the chat. Yeah, Johnny, then Sambo, then me. We'll do our one vote. This is going to be really hard, but do your one vote first.
It was difficult, but I think I've worked it out. My one is going to Mitch Edwards. Just what a debut game. Going up against bloody Jackson and Sean Darcy. I thought he held his own. He gave it a red hot crack, and I think it's a sign that we've been waiting for another ruckman to relieve Reece Stanley, and I think Mitch Edwards is that player. He just looked confident and gave it his all, and I feel like he had a big hand in turning the game our way.
Sambo.
Like you said, this is gonna be hard. I've gone over this all weekend really, but I've ended up basically back where I started. I think in a slightly different order. But my one is going to Sean Manor. I almost got convinced away when analysing the stats, because he was a lock for me in the votes, and then the more I looked at the stats, I kind of started to get a bit influenced and go, oh, I only had 16 touches, blah blah, whatever it was. But like I said, I still haven't rewatched the full game, but I've rewatched the first half and then most of the third quarter, and I also rewatched the KO mini. And I think despite him not getting the 3 votes, Sean Manor comes the closest to me for being an A grader from the game, for being a player that played well when we weren't yet playing well. At quarter time, he was the player I picked out. There was a handful of players that were running and not getting the ball. I said they were putting a lot of effort in covering the ground and just not getting near the ball. So their effort was high. He was one of those players. And I said to you, Jay, I was like, he really wants to affect this game. He was one of the few that I thought didn't do fake chase and didn't sort of hang their head and put their hands on their hips too much. Like he was second and third efforting in the first quarter. They were ineffective efforts, but they were still there. and I really felt like then into the second quarter, he was able to do the same thing, but with more reward. And it was in his, I actually thought live, like thinking back, I thought his 3 goals came in the third quarter, but in the second quarter, and they're quite early in the second quarter, they're a real against the run of play. And it was the closest so far this year to Jack Martin's 4 in 4 minutes last year, where it felt like he didn't necessarily win us the game. We needed those goals. We needed Jeremy Cameron's effort. We needed Neil's bag of goals. But if I feel like what Manor did was like the runway for those planes to be able to take off and do what they needed to do. I don't think we're back in it enough to have the belief without those 3 Manor goals. And they were brilliant goals. They weren't just shitty, like
Brilliant goal.
They were all amazing, and they all came from effort. There was individual effort. There was the tackle, the winner. When in a game where our tackling was shit, he came out at quarter time early in the second and laid a beautiful tackle to strip a player in on the paint of 50, get a free kick. I just felt like, I know I've gone on and on about my one. I'll try to go on about my two and my three, but I guess I'm just justifying myself. I think he was a bit of an unsung hero. I think he was an early match winner. The other people did finish the work, but without his sort of effort when the chips were down, I don't think we're in a position to sort of cap it off.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's I've gone back and forth so many times on this stuff, on where I was going to give my votes. And we talked a bit about, is there a way that we can kind of, I think there's literally 9 players, 6 to 9, half a dozen to 9 players that were in contention for my votes. And in some ways I've probably gone away. Mana was definitely in my votes, but I've actually ended up going with 3 other players because I wanted to get as many of the 9 represented, because it was one of those instances where I thought it was such a team lift that I just wanted to get as many of them acknowledged as possible in our votes. And I don't really give a shit if anyone else thinks that's the right way to do it. It's the way that makes sense to me here. So I'm going to actually give my 1 vote to Jeremy Cameron. I thought he looked like we could keep saying it all day. He looked a bit off in the first quarter. It didn't look like, it's like, so did all of them.
Name one player.
If you look at what happened from exactly, so Cameron ends the day 23 touches, 10 marks, 2 tackles, 3 goals, 4. I just thought he was such a presence around the ground. So I'm going to give my 1 vote to Jezza. Yeah. Nice. And the award name has changed again. It's now players who stood out to us and did other stuff good too, and shit the bed the least in the first quarter, specifically against Fremantle in round 1, 2026. And Paul has just correctly suggested that we need to make sure everyone understands it was round 1 of the 2026 AFL season. So,
should we put the date in as well?
We'll snake. Maybe we should.
It also feels like in this day and age of football, we need to maybe make sure people realize round 1 is not game 1, because game 1 would be
true
opening round. It's in round 1 brackets, not opening round, not the first game, round 1.
To be clear, not including preseason. We'll snake here. So I'll give you my 2 votes.
Also,
I'm giving
Jackie
2 votes to
at Cardinia Park. Don't forget that.
We'll just keep adding this. It'll have to be a crawl, like a scroll underneath eventually. Yeah. I'm giving my 2 votes to Tom Stewart. Is it biased? Maybe. Is it accurate? Yes. Tom Stewart was excellent for a player that we were told all last season, he's on the decline. He's 27 touches, 19 by foot, 534 meters gained, 10 marks, a goal assist, 9 spoils. It was sort of of course it's Tom Stewart. Whenever there was a spoil, etc., it was Tommy Stewart. I thought he rose to the occasion. I love how serious he is. In a changing sporting world, and I get it, where everything's a bit lighter and everyone's friends with each other, Tom Stewart still is an uncompromising, gruff piece of shit, and I love him for that.
Beast.
And he's a throwback to a different era. He's you can see, I still, Ross Lyon saying, hey, there's a reality where we're 2-0 or 1-1. Yeah. There's a reality I still am sometimes curious about having seen, that would have been Matthew Scarlett, coach, Tom Stewart, captain. I think it would have been the most violent Geelong side you would have seen in the 21st century. I don't think particularly a pleasant team to be a part of, but there's a part of me that still, I would have liked to see that part of reality as well. So yeah, 2 votes to Tommy Stewart. What a
He earned his
player!
fillet
What a
fish
god!
this week. That's for sure.
He did what?
He earned his fillet fish this week.
Okay.
If
Oh,
people
is that a
seen
thing?
it,
Is
they'll
it?
understand. It's a thing.
Okay. All right. That's a euphemism. Sam, who was your 2 votes? And then John with your 2.
Jake's ready to serve up his fillet fish.
I'm getting.
I'm pretty sure he did that many years ago, Sam.
With a squeeze of lemon. My 2 is Max Holmes. Maybe, we were talking about Tom Stewart just now, who was for a long time we dubbed the new obvious choice. Prior to that, it was Joel Selwood was the obvious choice. Every time we got around to votes giving, back when Joel was playing, it was we just say the obvious choice. Then it became Stewart for a good couple of seasons, and I feel like Holmes is on his way to being like the obvious choice. Like I know he had a down week last week. I know we've not questioned, but we've just discussed his potential versus his current situation. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, I thought he was, as I said, I think that burst, the work rate of Manor was so important, and that burst of goals was incredibly important just to give us that little bit of leeway. But yeah, in terms of a body of work, I thought Max Holmes was incredible in the second, third, and fourth term. Statistically, obviously pretty dominant. But also it's one of those games that paired up with the stats, like the eyeball test, his efforts and his tackling, and I thought he was immense. It's true. It's true. He's got Johnny has all the culinary corners well and truly under his wing. Yeah, I thought.
I thought it'd be a shit.
I would never imply that there's any chefs out there that don't 100% know exactly what they're doing, John. I would never imply that.
I would.
Yeah, I think spoilers that Tom Stewart and Jeremy Cameron aren't my 3 here, I suppose, but Tom Stewart and Jeremy Cameron were definitely the other 2 that I was trying to find space for in my votes. Like you said, Jake, you and I spoke, and we didn't necessarily say you were going to put Stewart and Cameron and I was going to put, but like it just felt like we could give a bit of love. We could have a bit of love in if we spread it around a little bit. But those 2 could have easily been my 1 and 2 as well. But yeah, I thought Holmes was that little bit of wind up him, a bit like Shannon Neil, I think, blew the sooky cobwebs out of his ears. And yeah, I thought it was a real it was a real mature back half of that game from Holmes.
Yeah, he's my 2 as well. I was and ahhing about my 2 and 3, but I feel like Max Holmes fits nicely in the 2 area. Yeah, it's just a really pleasing game to see from.
Entitled to their sexual proclivities.
He sure does. He had a bit of a 2-y start. It wasn't too. He was mired down in the bog for a bit, but I feel like he found a way out.
It's true.
And I think the threat of Chris Scott talking to him this week really put the wind up him to get out of that bog, and he played a really great game. Really helped us get to that position to be able to win the game through those second and third quarters. But him and Daz, is I've actually set Sam off quite badly here. I'm back,
guys. Sorry, I had to cough there.
Sam said a lot. I won't say much more because Sam summed it up very nicely about Max Holmes. But yeah, like Max Holmes, it feels like this was similar to Shannon Neil, that sort of moment that we want to see more often happen for Max Holmes, is where he grabs the game by the scrotum and goes, "This is my time to shine," and he goes for it.
Wow, this was the this is an experience, John.
That was quite an experience. I don't know where I was going with it, but I felt crap at the end there.
Yep.
Need some milk.
God, I hope this
all right.
listening.
So where does that leave us? We're snaking. We're snaking back. There was a question here I wanted to highlight. Sambo, do you think Chris? This is from Shadu. Says, do you think Chris Scott sounded like Bob Catter in his spray? And I'm thinking of the very famous Bob Catter one that you do your best impression work on, that involves threats and you know.
I didn't threaten anyone. Oh, that was a promise, all right. Yeah, it's he's got. It depends which Bob Catter you're talking about. Did he sound like the Thousand Blossoms Bloom? Certainly not. Did he sound like the Bob Catter that tells people he's going to punch them in the mouth? I think that's probably likely.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Then
we're snaking because it's three votes. Yeah, 3 votes. Give us your 3.
3 votes.
You're giving the mic back to John?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm giving my 3 to Tanner Bruhn.
3 votes to Tanner Bruhn, did you say?
The 3 votes to Tanner Bruhn. I don't know, just something about him that just got me aroused this game. It was his aggression, his attack on the ball, and as I said, what he went through last year, for him to approach the game in the way he has, it's just very pleasing to see him really go, you know what, I'm an AFL player. Yeah, that was an awful thing that happened to me. But now it's a new year. Turned over the page, get back to what he knows best. And I thought he was just really good, really fantastic. I just thought, you know, he may not have done the best stuff on the ground. He may not have been the best looking, flashiest player, but I just think I'm just going with the circumstances after his year last year for him to perform like he has. It's just going to be worthy of my 3 votes this week because I think he earned it again.
Would it be fair to say, John, he stood out to you and did other stuff good too and shit the bed the least in the first quarter, specifically against Fremantle in round 1, 2026?
Yep, on the 14th of the 3rd. It's an AFL game at GMHBA.
Yeah.
Couldn't have summed it up better, I think.
Home and away season as well. In game 1, that wasn't opening round.
That's right.
Wow, is it very nice?
No. Yeah, I agree on all your points, John, about him. You know, it's interesting. Like I said today, considering he didn't play any football last year, it's somewhat surprising that he seems like a more mature footballer. And I suppose being a more mature person helps be a more mature footballer. So I guess it does make a certain amount of sense, but. Yeah, it's kind of remarkable to me as someone on the outside who doesn't really understand that much about AFL footballing development from an inside point of view. It's quite remarkable to me that his growth has not, has not plateaued. It didn't regress. It wasn't stunted. It didn't plateau. It is somehow he looks like he had another year playing AFL football under his belt. So that's. Yeah, it's remarkable, and I imagine it's not going to be the last time we're talking about him at this point of the podcast throughout the year.
He actually did have another year of footy. They attached a prosthetic chin to him. He was actually George Stevens.
That explains a lot.
Nobody knew. Yeah,
it explains his running speed too, because he was also on very small stilts to make himself look a little taller. Which explains the Stevens gate. My 3 is Scratcher, Shannon Neil. as I said, Stewie, Cameron should have been there. I wanted to put Atkins in there because I always do. And I think I would have been well and truly justified to have had him in there. Neil's, I guess, performance isn't necessarily the one that I personally always put front and center in my votes, the one that kicked the most goals. But like I said, the narrative of that game and the journey that he's been on, the journey that I think he's about to go on, and just the little micro journey that we watched of him learning and adapting and maturing in that game. So specifically, I guess doesn't necessarily be stand out as the player that shit the bed the least in the first quarter against Fremantle in round one. But I think the fact that he had the first part of it was so patchy and a little bit frustrating for us watching, very frustrating for him. I think the fact that he was able to, and you alluded to all this earlier, Johnny, the fact that he was able to turn it around, put all that behind him, discard what was noise, use what was fuel, and then turn around and kick an absolute bag. Probably could have kicked more if he'd been on from the start. But like I said, I think Sean Manor comes close to an A grader that turned the game around. But I think it's from my point of view, it's Neil that did actually then win us the game on his boot.
Nice.
Yeah, he was pretty magnificent. I'm about to deliver my 3 votes. Before I do, this is like that bit in Eurovision where we're going to get the votes from Lithuania in just a moment, but the people's voting closes in 3 minutes. Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6307, not to be confused, of course, with Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6306, says, why don't you people hit the like button? It helps to keep the show going. It's true, Gary.
Thanks,
Come
guys.
on. There is currently 30 people viewing this video per my StreamYard. Hit the like button, please. Get
He said
right
3
in the
likes.
eyes of Jesus. Like it. Boom.
They don't like when you blaspheme, Jake. You've ridden us off the cliff now. I feel like after a week or so, when the video's been out, our videos always rest on about a 1 in 10. We don't have any dislikes usually, but it's usually 1 in 10 people hits the like. And I don't look at that in any analytical way. I just find it funny that it doesn't matter if it's 50 views or up to 1,000 views in the finals. It's always about 10%.
Yeah. Well, Shadoo's on it here. Shadoo says 19 now. Come on. Drive it up. All right. My 3 votes goes to a player. You legend. Simon says, I just tuned in. Great show.
Oh,
Thanks, guys.
That's-
Thanks,
I'm a
Richard.
little suspicious that Simon's here to steal players and possibly a coach, though. Just pointing out the
Oh, look out! It's Taz,
yeah.
the spy from the
true.
Tassie
Spy.
Devils
Spy.
in our midst.
I tell you, it's not been a very good spy
Uh-oh.
since he's got a Tasmanian devil and his name is Taz. But you got to sort of hide it a bit there, Taz.
Taz now leaves, and another
where did you get those?
person with a completely different name comes back into the chat.
Not Taz, Simon.
Yeah.
All right, my three votes go to Max Holmes. This is a player I said before the season is not yet an A grader. I stand by that, but it's games like Saturday that will put him there as he puts more and more of them together, because it did exactly the thing that I have said keeps him out of the category for me, and that is, can you take it upon yourself to change the game? And literally the first clearance of the second quarter, he gets it, he uses his speed, he backs his pace, he burns away and helps set up a forward attack. Like, he's so talented. The AFL is there for him to take as his own. He is so talented in so many facets of his game. I think the Dangerfield call, like the Judd-like or whatever it was, I've said it before on the pod. Watching Chris Judd early 2000s was one of my favorite players. And I think that Max Holmes can be right there. He has that potential to be an absolute game-breaking talent. And on the weekend, he did it. And I just don't think we would have won the game if it wasn't for him. I don't think we had the luxury of going to Dangerfield and putting him on ball. As you said, Johnny, 55% game time. I don't think he went on ball at all, did he? He ended up with no clearances. He pretty much played up forward. It was on someone in that midfield to stand up, and it was Max Holmes who set the tone after quarter time. He ends with 32 touches, 7 marks, 8 tackles, 5 clearances, 657 meters gained. So he led the team for clearances. He was second in tackles. He was, up there sort of in the top 10 for marks. Disposals, he had the most of anyone. I was just trying to see if I could find his disposal efficiency. 78% disposal efficiency. That feels high for Max Holmes. So you add that with 10 score involvements. I just thought Max Holmes was absolutely brilliant. He even had the second most pressure acts for the Cats behind Tom Atkins. So he really pitched in 5 running bounces, which is something I've said he needs to do more of. So yes, for me, yes, he is. There you go. 3 votes.
Nice.
Max Holmes.
I like it.
No, love
My
it.
question, yeah. Cool. All right, let's jump in here as we round out another edition of players who stood out to us and did other stuff good too and shit the bed the least in the first quarter, specifically against Fremantle in round 1, 2026. We'll just go to a few questions that I had.
AFL home and away season game.
John, the episode's long enough.
It was awesome as well.
Big Stick Combat said, what did you guys think of Edwards' game? Johnny already covered it. We gave a vote to Edwards. I don't think we need to linger on that one too long, apart from Johnny thought it was vote worthy. Sambo and I thought he was impressive in terms of just showing what he could be. Sambo, I'll let you take this one. Benny said, talk about the jam donuts. How did you find the jam donuts on Saturday?
Yeah, pretty great as always.
Pretty fantastic.
Buoyed by the fact that I didn't pay for them because Jake did. And we all know all food tastes twice as good when you didn't pay for it. So I got the benefit of fantastic jam donuts, heated just right. Far too much sugar on them, but that's how we like it. It's one of those rare scenarios where too much actually doesn't exist in this particular scenario. You want them absolutely drowning in the sugar in the bag. And the next absolutely fantastic component of the jam donut was that Jake is a lightweight and only wanted 1, but he bought 4, so I got 3. So it was a all round A+ jam donut experience. Yeah, would do again. Put that one in the number 2 slot.
All right, here we go. What's the next one? Where are they? Shadu. This was earlier in the show. Offered this question. I'm gonna tweak it here. Shadu said, Ollie Henry, Brad Close, or Jack Martin. Which one? And given there was no definition as to exactly what we were picking them for, I have decided. This is Chaps. Who would you go out? Yeah, for prom. Who would you ask to go to prom with? Ollie Henry, Brad Close, or Jack Martin? Johnny, you lead us off. Who's going to prom with you?
I'm gonna say Jack Martin. And I just something about Jack Martin. It seems like he'll be one of those guys to really be attentive to what you'd rock up early, walk in the car, open the door, be a real gentleman,
Yeah,
you make the night feel special.
He'd keep your dignity intact.
Yeah, exactly.
I might also have to go Jack Martin, also because he's the oldest one, so he might be the least likely to be problematic in this scenario. I don't exactly know. Yeah. Once again, it's one of those real glaring moments where you're so used to growing up and idolizing footballers and thinking of them as the the elite and being like more mature, and then you eventually realize you're on your way to twice as old as most of the AFL footballers. But yeah, no, I agree with Johnny. Obviously, all of them dashing gentlemen, but I think Jack Martin could hold a conversation too. Good life experience.
Yeah.
Jake?
I feel like at this point in time, like Ollie Henry needs a nice night out. So I'm going to say, come on, come to prom with me. I don't know exactly. Let's just set this up. We're all like men in our mid-30s. Why exactly we're attending a prom like at this point in our lives? I'm not exactly sure. But anyway,
Free booze.
Ollie,
Because
I'd invite Ollie
Geelong
Henry
footballer asked us to.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. True. No, do you know what I think? I think, Ollie Henry and I would get a few like vodka lime cruisers in us. I think I'd be interested to hear what his taste in music is. Like I'm interested to know where's his musical tastes at. And you know what? I think probably closet party animal too. So if I'm going, like let's let it rip. You know what I mean? If we're going to go and do this thing, let's go and do this and let's do a fucking prom. Like, let's go have a fucking party. Right? So yeah, Ollie Henry for me. So thanks for the question, Shadu. Out of which of Ollie Henry, Brad Close, or Jack Martin would we take to prom? All right.
We've absolutely answered it.
Yeah, we've nailed it. Mark said, I thought Jack Martin played a good game as well. He was great on the dance floor. And as John said, he really was courteous in terms of being prompt for pickup time, drop off time. Was always there. If John had an empty glass, he was always providing a full
held a conversation.
Exactly.
I held my hair back while I vomited in the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. Ocker O'Keefe Gary 6306, not of course to be confused with Ocker O'Keefe Gary 6306. Why did Jack Bowes miss the first two games when he wasn't listed as injured? I think he was at a day spa. I think he had significant beauty routine to take care of. No, I honestly don't know. He's maybe not the best.
Day spa awareness.
Yeah, is that a day spa? DAIYIEAA day spa.
Okay, cool.
There's the Zoolander reference. I saw someone saying, when's the blue steel coming? So I just thought I'll chuck in a Zoolander reference for him. Chuck him a bone.
Ferg,
that's right, Ferg. This is the best show.
That is right. Thanks, Fergie. Fergalicious.
Undoubted. Of all shows, even including TV shows, this is better than Game of Thrones.
We're better than Oprah.
We're better than opera.
We're better than the
we're better than the opera.
You've just lost us our Oscar for saying that, John. Good Lord. The opera's taken enough hits, okay, in this last week. They can't handle the
Timothy Chalamet.
What the hell's happening to the opera?
Driving past the opera in his limousine, he whips out his Tommy gun and just goes and takes out the opera industry. Yeah, stray drive-bys.
And they said Timothy Chalamet doesn't like the opera. The last thing we can handle is John from the Chaps Chat Cats also not liking the opera.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said we're better than the opera.
It's true. We actually think the opera is amazing. We're just more amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Saved it.
I
don't know. I don't know if Jack Bowes is in the top 23. Yeah, I was agreeing.
Morris, there's Chaps. Are you planning on going to the Adelaide game? I don't think I'm allowed to fly to Adelaide, so I'm probably not. What about you, Chaps?
No, I won't be able to make it.
Is it in Adelaide, is it? Or are you just randomly saying you're not allowed to fly to Adelaide, Jack? Just making that known.
In Adelaide.
Yes, no.
You want to fly to Adelaide?
Yeah, a 3-hour car trip to Geelong is about as adventurous as I get anymore. Yeah, and I already feel like I'm going to need a nap across the next couple of days to recover for it. Sammy Tai.
Zach Guthrie to Tasmania, just so you know. So we've already talked about Zach. Stop trying to poach
Here we go. Paul James. Paul's been plugging this all night, and we've got.
Yep.
I think it's 1 minute. Let me just prepare to introduce this question. Chaps, this is obviously not marketing for another video that was released earlier in the day, discussing the potential of Nick Dacos going to the Cats, and you know. If that video did exist, you would definitely want to check it out. But of course it doesn't, because if it was, being promoted in this way, it'd be very on the nose. But Sambo, Nick Dacos, 30 seconds. How do you think he's going to play as a Cat in 2027?
Better than he plays as a Pie. But that's that's
Obviously.
that's a given. I think he'll slot in very well into the farm down next to Stanley's, and in the team as well. I think he'll have a great immediate impact. Obviously, it's going to happen, and I think there is a video from what I've heard floating around the internet that you could probably watch if you wanted to look and find out why exactly that's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, my task to poll is now call Nick Dacos Nick Catkos, just to really rub it into the Pies fans that he's going to become a cat.
I think you should do a weekly video, Paul, about like Nick Dacos watch. I think one a week wouldn't be too many.
Catkos.
Yeah. Ben also asked if the Chaps had an actual fight using their microphones as weapons, who would win? Well, look, given that we actually used to fight, given that we actually used to punch the shit out of each other at like midnight on a Thursday on Sam's back porch, I think we all know who. Like, I don't think Johnny and I would be too proud to admit, Sam would beat the shit out of us. I think. Yeah. There we go. Not too proud to admit that.
With that microphone.
Unless I had some sand that I could throw in his eyes, which I would if I could.
Yeah. Because I think I just took it more seriously than you guys. my pride was on the line. You guys were like, let's have some fun. And I was like, this is serious, guys. Look, using microphone. This microphone's pretty heavy. That's right.
You always sit there.
Preloading 2 microphones, one in each hand. Yep. Yeah, it's true. That's true.
What she said.
This microphone is very heavy. So as long as the cord holds on and I can use it as like a bombing knocker, I think I'm pretty confident in this microphone.
All right, here we go. Last question for the night, I believe, unless someone posts something compelling in the next 30 seconds. Benny says we need a Chaps sing-along to end every episode. I don't know that we need that,
Sweet
but I do want to know,
Caroline.
Chaps, oh, 1 minute. We've got the perfect sing-along. We've got the perfect sing-along to end every show. Here we go, folks. Here's a little treat for you. Just got to get it loaded up.
Good Lord.
Just wait.
I can't hear it. I can't hear it. If there's meant to be something going, I can't hear it.
Oh, is there? It's not coming through. No one else can hold Meatloaf. Here, Meatloaf. I'll bail on that. Anyway, what I want to know then, Chaps, in response to this question is...
Jesus, it went to black for me. The sing-along absolutely killed it. Glorious.
Here we go. What would your go-to karaoke song be? If I handed you a mic right now, each of you, what would you be saying? Plug this in for me on the old jukebox. What would it be?
Alone by Heart.
Love already hurts with that.
Oh, Johnny. The unofficial anthem of the chat.
It's the obvious
If anyone
choice.
doesn't know it, you got to go listen to it. It's the song that if and when the Chaps eventually comes to an end, like an official end, we are going out with a copyright strike playing Love Really Hurts Without You. Okay, so make sure you go and have a listen to that. Sam, you're obviously one of the great female vocalists of the 21st century, so I think you've picked the perfect song for your range with "Alone" by Heart. I think I'd play to form. I would go "Basket Case" by Green Day. There you go. That's
Boo.
what my
That's a song
go-to
you can sing
karaoke.
well. You've cheated.
Yeah.
I heard you sing it. You can't pick a song you can sing well for karaoke.
All right.
Little
It's not the
humble,
point
of
little
karaoke.
humble
In
brag.
that case-
I'm just gonna get up here and rip this one a new one. Oh,
It's not like I've practiced in front of the mirror
it's gotta
all
be-
night, all day.
not like I sung this in a real band or anything.
Fat Bottom Girls. Fat Bottom Girls by Queen.
There we go. That's better. That's
I
better.
don't have that kind of range. All right. All right. I think that's about it. I reckon that's it. I reckon we're done. A few people
That's
chucked
your
out
blooming
there.
lot.
That's your blooming. Does anyone else remember Peter Cundall of Gardening Australia fame? Shout out in the chat, Peter Cundall. What a legendary Cundall. Yeah, there's a few calls here for karaoke songs. Flash said he'd do Funky Cold Medina. Jackie, Thunder Road by Bruce Springsteen. Flash also said Mr. Bright
Oh.
Eyes. Closet Richmond fan. Benny says Sweat. Ah la la long. Don't know if I know that one. All right.
You'd know it if you heard it.
Morris says,
Home
thanks,
gaming.
chaps. By the way, it's a
It's home
home
game.
gaming at Adelaide. Our next one,
thought it was
next
away.
Thursday
Yeah.
night. I doubt it. Not
There's
unless
so much attention on
we
it.
can.
Well, that's
Rob a
why I was
fuel
asking, because I was
truck
like, hang on, are you just randomly saying you can't make it to Adelaide?
I thought it was
Just
gather round.
unrelated. And this shows how much I just respect your opinion, Jake. I just factually took yours higher than the facts that I actually had read elsewhere and went, well, Jake said it.
All right. Here we go. As of March the 16th, the fuel price in Wallan, Victoria, currently at $2.29.9 per litre. That's unleaded 91. We've got diesel ranging from 248.9 to 273. Like premium unleaded, 233 to 241. I don't know. Maybe like I'm doubtful.
doubtful.
Yeah, that I'm going to make that happen. Yeah. All right. We should probably get the fuck out.
I'll
of here.
check my roster. That's what I'm going to say. I'll check my roster.
Nice.
We'll see.
It's like leading but non-committal. Thanks to everyone for jumping in the chat. If you hit the like button, you're a bloody legend. If you didn't, you can go fuck yourself. We'll be back next Monday night. There's plenty of shows in the pipe here on the Hoops Crew. Tuesday, you'll get enough of the week. Wednesday, show us your tips. And Ben's tipping show as well. Thursday, Paul James. Friday, the twos. Sambo and I discussing VFL. And then there'll be the usual game day stuff over the weekend as required. Reactions, etc.
won't be
Monday, you're
this
back
weekend.
with us. True. All right. We're done. Oh, Morris sweetens the deal.
Oh,
Says if you come, I'll beers.
fuck.
Name
That's
of your
temp-
sex tape. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. We are the
Sam's
Chaps Chat.
given up, he's
Sam's
left.
gone. He'd had enough.
He's had enough of you shits.
We don't. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Oh, he's back. He's back. He dropped out.
I just didn't
No, he's
recover
back.
from when you tried to play that song. It just shit the bed, and my internet has not recovered.
All right, we're out of here.
Right.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Love you. Mwah. Bye. Go Cats.
Bye. Go Cats.
Bye, go Cats. Stick that in the 2 slot.